Oh, there's just so much good news. There's not. The stake starts now. Good evening and welcome to The Stakes. I'm Tara Setmayer. This is Michelle Kinney, and we're the co-founders of the Seneca Project. And I feel like I have not seen you in like
Because you
a
haven't.
month.
Well, because what was it 2 Saturdays ago? I feel like you had to peace out of our Saturday show early, and then you were
Yes,
gone to
right.
warmer and sandier places. And then you were back, and I know you had to peace out of our other show early this week. So,
I know.
you're a busy lady.
I
You're
know.
a busy lady.
Yeah, a lot of moving and shaking going on
But
here.
I'm sure you feel rested. You feel good.
Yes and no. I mean, as rested
Sometimes
as you could
vacations like
be.
require a lot of energy, and those vacations are not 100% relaxing. So I know what you're gonna
Well,
say.
yes. Well, the vacation I was on was a 50th birthday celebration for my husband,
Mm,
pre-planned, and we got a chance to go to Morocco.
very
Which was
nice.
very cool. I've been to North Africa before, but I'd never been to Morocco. And my husband had never been to North Africa. And so the first half of the trip was very relaxing because we have a friend that has property there and they let us stay in their house there, which was very cool. That was in the Casablanca area. The second
Mm,
half though was the like Indiana Jones adventure part where we rode.
wow.
Yeah, we went from Marrakesh out to the desert and it's like 8 hours and they broke it up by 2 days and we
What are
did a
the
lot of
roads
things.
like getting there?
So the roads are actually very good. The King of Morocco, the current one, invested a lot in their
Oh, they have
infrastructure.
kings?
Yeah,
Oh, well,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. But he invested a lot in the roads, and so the infrastructure is actually quite good. They have a great high-speed train rail system there. There are a couple parts where it was dirt roads, but not like the main parts. So it was like the roads were no problem.
Mm,
We got to visit like Berber villages and we got to go see like movie sets where they filmed Gladiator 2, which was very cool. The weather
cool.
was perfect. It was like 70s the whole time. No humidity,
Right.
obviously.
It's a
And
dry heat.
very dry heat, which I love.
Yes.
And so humidity is from the devil and the pits of hell. So, I was all about the dry heat. And then we got to ride camels out into the desert, into like the sand dunes and stuff. And we stayed overnight in this like desert camp and we did this
Cool.
like sand duning thing. It was very cool. But the funniest part about it is that because my husband was turning 50, we were like the oldest people on the tour. It was a tour little van of like 15, and we had a group of these lovely college students that were semester at sea students, and it was a group of girls, and then there was a group of dudes. They were from Great Britain. We didn't really talk to them much. They were fine, but the
Mm.
girls were the cutest things. And then they were calling us mom and dad.
No.
And we were like,
No.
no. Okay, I'm in denial that I'm that old because we obviously are old enough to be the parents of all these kids, and I'm not like I'm refusing to believe it. But I said no, we are auntie and uncle.
Yeah. There is a
Auntie
very
and
distinct
uncle.
difference between those two
Yeah.
names. And I mean, listen, J-Lo in her 50s was swinging on a pole
With her ass out at the Super
with
Bowl.
her ass out, looking amazing at the
Yes.
Super Bowl. And Shakira was in her late 40s at the time. Listen, 50 is the new 35. Let's
So
be
they
honest.
say.
So
So
they
they
say. But you
say.
know what though?
So
I think about was City Slickers. It was like one of my favorite movies when I
I
was a
love
kid.
that movie.
Maybe a little like older for me, and maybe I didn't get all the jokes, but I loved it.
Yeah,
And
1991.
yeah. So it's like I was like 10. But it's funny
Great
watching
movie.
it now.
I know,
It's
he's
like
turning
his
40.
30, not even.
He's
He's like
39.
38 or
Yeah,
39. I'm like,
that's right.
what?
I know, I can't. It's so it's surreal. I'm not like ready for it. I don't turn 50 till September, so I'm holding on until then. But
Listen.
Listen, I will take Auntie Tara and Uncle Marcel, and the girls were so cute. They sang happy birthday to him while we were on our little camel ride. So they kind of broke out into spontaneous song. It was lovely. So
Very nice.
yeah, so that's the tan, which is why people are wondering. I got a little son, and
Good
that's
for
from
you.
that. I posted some pictures, but there's a lot more for me to post.
I
So
bet.
I'll post more on Instagram. I haven't really had a chance to because, like you said, it's been busy. And even while I was
Nonstop.
gone, I was still monitoring things and keeping an eye where I had Wi-Fi. And we have a big announcement, and I'm sure you announced it last Thursday too.
I
Which
did.
is a great show, by the way. I'm so thrilled
Thank
that you were able
you.
to have Julie and Anna on, and people know that Anna is part of our amazing editor team that did American Girl.
Mhm.
And we're nominated for a Webby. We got the nomination.
Yay.
It is like the Oscars of the internet and digital world, and we're just thrilled about this. And we have an opportunity to win in our category. So everyone who's watching, please make sure you
Yes.
spread the word.
We'll drop
Because
the voting link in the chat, which will
yes,
show up on our YouTube and our Facebook chats if you're watching
yes,
there.
we are in third place right now, but it is not an insurmountable lead for the two that are ahead of us, because
Yep.
we're in a category with like major movie studios who
Yeah.
have multi-million-dollar budgets and marketing
And
departments
followings.
and followings. Okay. And so we're up against Inside Out, which is, I think, Disney. We're up against
Mhm.
Universal, who did a thing for Twister. We're up against some production company who did a thing for the WNBA and Caitlin Clark, for God's sakes. And then there's us. And then some like other influencer thing that we don't care about them. And then there's us.
It's that, you know what it is? It's that luxury. Have you seen the luxury brands where they do the CGI like in the streets and stuff? And it's like this giant Louis Vuitton giraffe in
Oh,
the
yes.
street. It's
Yes.
that. It's that.
Okay. We don't care about
Which
them.
is like
American Girl
nice,
is
but it
better.
doesn't really like make me feel
No.
anything other than like things I can't afford.
You're
So
right. It's a little self-indulgent, and God bless. If you can afford that,
God
good for
bless.
you.
God bless. But
However, we created an anthem
yeah.
that moved people, something beautiful that brought happy tears and emotional tears and emotion to people, millions of people, because it went viral. And we're a little team of 4. So
Yep.
please make sure you guys go and vote for us over at the Webbies.
I think we should play it.
Let's play it. Why not? And then we're going to get into the dystopian hellscape news that we're living through. We figured we'll start the show with something positive because it's a lot. So
It's
we're
a
going to
lot.
do
It's a lot.
positive stuff first.
So here's American Girl. Please vote for us if you have a moment.
Yes.
Women's suffrage is a long story of hard work and heartache crowned by victory.
Was it so hard being an American girl?
Women throughout the country are committed to winning these rights for themselves.
Was it so hard living in a first problem world?
I'm Connie Chung, CBS News, New York.
When the American promise is the land of the free, but I'm waiting for the bill for the air that I breathe. Was it so hard being an American girl?
I do.
I pray that we all remember our children are watching.
Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue. Tell me, girls, what are we gonna do? Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue. Tell me, girls, what are we gonna do? Every heart stops to walk the white American girl. What are we gonna do? Every heart.
While I may be the first woman in this office, I will not be the last.
Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue. Tell me, girls, what are we gonna do?
Yeah. Yes, it still hits. It still slaps, as they say.
It does. It does. And you know what? I wanted to just tell like a quick, funny little story. A friend of mine, her name is Alex. She's been in many a Broadway show. She's a dancer, actress, and she got called in for a production of The Little Mermaid. And her track would be covering Ariel and Ursula. And
Oh.
so they asked her, I know, I was like, what? She's like my
That's-
height and like this big. And I was like,
Yeah.
that's interesting. So, but anyways, a lot of times now with actors, especially since COVID, they ask you to put your audition on tape. And so she's recording her audition and she gets to the part of your world where she said, what's the line? It's bright young women, sick of swimming, ready to stand. And she burst into tears and had to turn the camera off because she was crying so hard.
Wow.
And she was like, I feel crazy, but like the littlest things are triggering me lately because we are all living and trying to survive under an assault,
Yes.
constant assault
Yes.
of our rights as women, our rights as Americans, our rights as human beings
Yes.
living in this country. And,
Yep.
I said to her, because it was a couple friends and we were talking, and I was like, you are not alone. You are not crazy. I have been there all week, the last 2 weeks. I feel you, and I know that I'm not alone. Almost everyone I know is feeling like this right now. It's really hard. Things are very dark and scary. So
Yep.
I say all that and I tell that story to just say, like, we're going to have to stick this out, but just know that you are not alone, however you're feeling. So
It's so hard being
it
an
is.
American girl.
It
This
is.
is why
It is.
that is. And speaking of that, a very happy birthday to the wonderful,
Yes.
talented, and amazing Laura Bell Bundy, who is the voice on that.
Yeah.
And she also co-wrote the song. So
Mhm.
happy birthday to the wonderful Laura Bell Bundy.
Yep.
And
She's on our advisory
Yes.
board. She is a wonderful person. She, obviously is a very talented singer and Broadway actress. She's been nominated for a Tony, but she's also just a really, really good person with the heart of gold and just wants to do good in the world, just like the rest of us. So
Yep.
happy,
Yep.
happy, happy, happy birthday, Laura Bell Bundy.
Happy birthday, LBB. So, okay. Do we have to? Like, do we have to? I don't want to talk about the bad stuff, but we don't have a choice. All right. So at least they let me back in the country. We were worried about that.
Like legit.
Because
I was legitimately concerned.
I know. Michelle's like, wipe your phone. And I was like,
I
listen,
know.
we're transiting through Canada and they're mad at him, but they're not mad at us because we didn't do it.
I know.
No, I was lucky we went through Montreal. And I was saying the other day,
Yeah.
I'm like, I just wanted to like hug and say I'm sorry to every Canadian I saw because I'm like, I
Yeah.
didn't vote for the fucker.
It's a great country.
They're lovely. And I bought my little Canada hat so that I can, show my love for the
Montreal
Canadians.
Airport, not the greatest, but
Yeah, it was all
it's
right.
like very frozen in time.
Yeah.
Like a time of 1978.
Yes. But I do want to spend, I've never actually spent real time in Canada.
You
I went,
should
I know.
go.
I want to go to the Montreal Jazz Festival and experience Montreal. I did finally go to Niagara Falls. I went when I was like 7 and I didn't really remember it. So I went when I spoke at in Erie and I kind of did a little tour and went to Niagara Falls so I could experience that loveliness. Because you got to find joy, people. When all of this stuff that's going on, you have to find the little things in life that bring you joy. Otherwise, you're going to drown in the negativity and we just can't. We have to be, it's okay to like
go there if when you need
like,
to, but
right.
like try to
you
like
can't
come
stay
back.
there. You can't stay there. You got to find there's still beautiful things and we need to hold on to them. And so so yes, and I had the most amazing macaroon in that airport. It was coconut. It was lovely. My husband doesn't like them, but he liked that one. So and it was so big. I took it with me on the flight to Morocco. But anyway, all right, we're procrastinating because I just don't want to have to relive what's happening, but it's happening. So I'm going to start off with semi kind of good news, maybe kind of sort of this whole deportation thing that's been going on. I'm going to get to the tariffs and all that in a second, but so we know that Trump deported a bunch of people who are actually innocent without due process to the gulag in El Salvador.
Like a majority of them, right? They have no criminal records.
This is correct. And so one of them in particular has a lawyer and has a wife who's an American citizen, and so is his son, and they have been fighting for him. And the Supreme went all the way up to the Supreme Court because the lower court said, yeah, you guys admitted it was an administrative mistake. You need to bring them back. And Trump told the lower court judge to fuck off and basically said, you can't tell me what to do, which actually they can, but that's another story. So then it got kicked up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court kind of punted. The ruling came down shortly before we came on air. And I am not a lawyer. I will put that disclaimer in first. But from the people who I trust as lawyers, they are saying that this is kind of a wishy-washy, weird decision, that they didn't take a firm stance where they said, yeah, you don't have the authority to do this. Go get him and bring him back. It didn't quite say that. It said you have to facilitate the release. So what does that mean exactly? Well, they didn't give a deadline. They didn't say when he has to be returned by. They kicked it back to the lower court, which could take God knows how long. And basically, you can't force another country to do something. So they found this word, this kind of happy medium, if you want to call it that, by saying they have to facilitate the release. Okay, I mean, it's a sliver of hope, I guess. But I don't like the fact that the Supreme Court didn't take a more definitive position on Trump's ability to do this. I don't like it.
Yeah, it says this is NBC News.
Yeah.
After the facilitate the release, it says the court partly granted and partly rejected an emergency request filed by the Justice Department contesting a judge's order that Kilmar Abrego Garcia be retrieved from a prison in El Salvador, where he was sent on March 15th, almost a month ago, along with alleged Venezuelan gang members. The decision means the administration does not immediately have to try to return Abrego Garcia to the United States because a judge-imposed deadline has already expired, but should be prepared to share what it can, considering the steps it has taken and the prospect of further steps.
Right. So basically, it's like, well, you kind of can when you want to, but you don't have to. We're not forcing you, but we want to see what like what is this? It feels like a cop out, and I don't like it. But that's the update on that, and it kind of bleeds into a larger, more ominous problem that we are facing here because they started with the Venezuelan gang members, allegedly.
Right. Because who would argue with that? Oh, they're violent criminals. We don't want them here. That's how they make these arguments. And they soften the blow with we can all share the point of view that criminals are bad. It's kind of like when, the danger really, when they start calling all people on the left pedophiles and things like that, because that is a group of people that everyone would agree deserves the harshest of punishments.
Correct.
But when you start accusing people of things without any due process, without any proof, what it does is open up, to demagogue an entire group of people for no reason other than just, I'm going to, we've seen this before.
Yes,
we've seen this before.
And what it does is it dehumanizes people. So it makes it easier to dehumanize them and do horrible things to them.
Right.
And you talked about this last week about kind of that slippery slope and what happened with the Holocaust. And, and we're seeing things now where they're pushing the envelope. So we'll start with the Venezuelan gang members because, of course, nobody wants them. But then I was like, oh, sorry, a whole bunch of the people that we swept up in this mass, deportation effort were actually innocent people, and we messed up on that. But oh well, they're gone now. So we're under no obligation to bring them back because they don't have any constitutional rights. Once they leave American soil, the Constitution doesn't apply anymore, and they know that. That's the fucked up part about this is that they know it. So it's like, who's going to make me? You're not going to make me bring them back. Right. And it's just cruel. It's cruel and it's sick and it's not okay.
And if you have, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, and if you have a country that's willing to go along with this now,
El Salvador.
And I wish I'd clipped this. I totally forgot. Who is the Trump administration official who said they want to traffic immigrants and deport them like in industrialized, like Amazon packages? Did you see this?
Oh,
I'm going to look this up.
Yeah, who said that? I saw something as a headline about that, but I didn't see who said
ICE
it.
Director Todd Lyons
Oh, okay.
wants to run deportation like
Yeah.
Amazon Prime.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, again,
Jesus.
I bring this up because this is human trafficking. This is how, I mean, this is tale as old as time. This
Mhm.
is the North Atlantic slave trade. This is the deportation effort to remove Jews from Germany. And again, like I know I keep bringing this up, but it's so recent in history, and we have people in our lives like Anna, like Julie, who have families who survived, thank God, these atrocities. But
Mhm.
the Holocaust was not a story of survival. The Holocaust is a story of genocide. Genocide being a word that was invented during the Nuremberg trials to try to encapsulate the horror of what had happened. And this industrialized extermination of an entire people began as an industrialized deportation effort because they tried to remove Jews from Germany and put them in other countries.
Yeah.
These countries didn't want them, so they
Right.
brought them back, and they said,
Yep.
okay, well, we're going to put all the Jews, we're going to take them out of their homes. They can't bring anything with them. We're just going to drag them out of their homes. We're going to give their homes and all their belongings to other people, let them pillage all their entire lives. They're going to be crammed into ghettos in different areas, which obviously were extremely difficult, places to live and inhabit. I mean, disease, all
Yeah.
kinds of things. So then they bring the people out of the ghettos and put them on trains to camps. And when they run out of room in the camps, they start extermination camps. And that is how it happened. And it was not overnight that these things
Mhm.
happened.
That's
It
right.
was very quick that Hitler was able to get power. And by the way, did so via legal means.
Yep.
Everything that Adolf Hitler did to come into power was legal. It was the dismantling after the fact that he
Mhm.
became a dictator, a murderous dictator.
Yes.
And
And
yes,
that took 6 months. We're ahead of schedule.
we are ahead of schedule. And yes, it
hasn't
was
even been 3 yet, for God's
right.
sakes.
Right. And the final solution, right, was the extermination of Jewish people. But in that was swept up other groups of people as well, including gay people, disabled,
Yep.
political dissidents, political opposition.
Yep.
Hitler made an example out of many people, including those around his outer circle.
That's right.
And so I say all that because of what happened to Miles Taylor.
Yes. And Chris Krebs.
And Chris Krebs.
Yep. I just did my Set Mayor sound off for Don Lemon's network today on this very subject. If you guys don't like and subscribe to Don's network, please do that because Don's doing amazing things. I do the Set Mayor sound off every Thursday, and I saw what happened last night with Trump and these executive orders targeting 2 private citizens, Miles Taylor and Chris Krebs. 2 people I know. Chris Krebs is actually a resident scholar alongside me at the UVA Center for Politics. I've done panels with him. We've been scholars together for a couple years. And I know Miles Taylor from being Never Trump Republicans, and ever since he came out publicly after he left the Trump administration, we've become friends, and I know Miles. And it's absolutely insane that the president of the United States would target private individuals with executive orders because they told the truth about him. And Miles was the former chief of staff for the Department of Homeland Security secretary. Chris Krebs was the head of the cybersecurity agency. It's called CISA. And he was the one who came out and said right after the election, when Sidney Powell and all the other wackos were running around saying that Venezuelan Hugo Chavez's servers were like mating with Italian satellites to change votes in Pennsylvania or whatever the fuck. It was ridiculous what they were talking about. And Chris Krebs came out and was like, okay, none of that happened. This was the most secure election in history. we did everything right. America should be proud of their election system. And that just sent Donald Trump because it didn't
Right, of
fit the
course.
narrative at the time, right? It was
Right.
all about stop the steal. It was stolen and it was satellites and whatever the hell. And none of that was true. So here we are 5 years later, and Donald Trump is targeting them. This is all part of the same ilk
Mhm.
because they started with Venezuelan gang members.
Right.
And now they're moving toward American citizens.
Right. And you start with criminals, terrorists,
Mhm.
right? And then you move the goalpost to what that means and how many people fall under that umbrella. Because
Mhm.
when they're the people determining who's a criminal, who's a terrorist, and what that means, that's extremely scary. That's
Yes.
very, very, very
Yes.
scary.
With
And
no due process.
right. And
I-
let's play the clip of him
Oh,
in the
yeah.
Oval Office.
Yeah. And then I'll tell you what Pete Hegseth said today after the cabinet meeting about Donald Trump and what he's doing.
Mm.
Memorandum we have for you relates to Miles Taylor. You may recall that Miles Taylor served in the Department of Homeland Security during your previous administration. In his capacity with the Department of Homeland Security, he leaked classified information. He wrote a book under the pseudonym Anonymous, making outrageous claims both about your administration and about others in it. What this presidential memorandum is going to do, one, it's going to strip any active clearance that he has in light of his past activities involving classified information. It's also going to order the Department of Justice to investigate his activities to see what else might come up in that context, given his egregious behavior during your previous administration.
And I had no idea who this guy was. I had no idea. I saw him on CNN, or one of them, I guess CNN, a lot. He'd be on all the time. I barely remember him. It was all the time. I had no idea who this guy. I said, who the hell is Miles Taylor? I think it's like a traitor. It's like spying. He walks into the office. He's supposed to be sitting here. A lot of people, I'll be here and there'll be 20 people standing in the room, anonymous. And I always thought it was terrible. And now we have a chance to find out whether or not it was terrible. And I think we have to do something about it. Worse than that, call it anonymous, like it's a big deal. That one's like a promoter. I think it's a very important case, and I think he's guilty of treason, if you want to know the truth. But we'll find out. And I assume we're recommending this to the Department of Justice.
Yes, sir.
I can't with the fucking Sharpie.
It's what do I call it? It's like the EKG of a Chihuahua. It's like
Yeah, I can't.
it's
Okay, treason. He thinks he's guilty of treason is
punishable
by
by death. When we all know his fetish
yes,
for talking about executing people,
yes,
firing squads, all
Yes.
kinds of things. Like he talks
weird, morose,
openly.
cab things. Like he always does this. Miles Taylor was reported back that he wanted to build a moat. Remember this? A moat along the border
It's not funny
with
but it is.
alligators, and also
I
that
remember.
he asked, why can't we put spikes at the top of the border fence so that when they try to climb, they get impaled? Okay, so this is a sick
It's
fuck.
like medieval shit.
Yes, he's sick. And the thing about it that's so infuriating, that people who've been paying attention for years, not just us, just people, if you pay attention the way he talks,
Mhm.
everything he accuses everyone else of, he does. It's the
Oh, yeah.
projection is outrageous. He's the one that's guilty of treason.
Yes.
Okay, January 6th, hello, selling out our intelligence officers to Russia or whatever else he's done. I mean, are you kidding me?
Well, and in
Every-
that same thing, he blamed Nancy Pelosi for January 6th.
Right.
He
right.
says it out loud. I mean, it was a very
Yes.
long, he has that little man who comes out and like reads a book to him and then he signs it.
Because
but
he
it's-
can't read or whatever.
No.
He has to have it read to him like a child.
Because he doesn't even know what's about to happen. He sits down, he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah."
Oh, we're
And-
referring this. What do I do? Oh, I sign here. Okay. all
Right. And he's got his little Joker circle around him with who else was there? Duffy, Lutnick, the usual suspects, Barbie,
Yeah.
fascist Barbie, what's her name?
Which one? Pam
Christi-
Bondi or Christy Nome?
Christy Nome,
Oh, yeah.
Nome, cosplay lady.
Yeah, the worst.
But I didn't have the clip where he talks about Krebs, but I do have this from Axios. This is okay. So Taylor served as chief of staff of Homeland Security, blah blah blah. We heard him say, I think he's guilty of treason if you want to know the truth. Meanwhile, Trump fired Krebs by tweet.
Yep.
After he fact-checked the president, like you said, to publicly say that the 2020 election was the most secure in American history. Trump called Krebs a wise guy, as well as a fraud and a disgrace during Wednesday's signing.
And apparently, they also took the security clearance away from the institute or whatever at the University of Pennsylvania that he's associated with, and the cybersecurity firm.
Yep, it says, Taylor, the order specifically calls out any security clearance for individuals at the University of Pennsylvania, where Taylor is a lecturer, pending a review of whether such clearances are consistent with the national interest. And Miles Taylor, good for him, put this tweet out. He says, I said this would happen. Dissent isn't lawful. Sorry, let me start over. I said this would happen. Dissent isn't unlawful. It certainly isn't treasonous. America is headed down a dark path. Never has a man so inelegantly proved another man's point.
Yep.
And, you know, just through, you know, the world that Tara and I work in is very, very small. And from what I'm hearing via, you know, that circle is that, you know, he's doing okay. And he's like, I am not going to back down. I will not be intimidated. And, you know, he's all right, at least for now. So, you know, this is a group of people who are not easily going to be intimidated and backed into a corner or run out of the country. So for that, I think we can all be grateful, you know, that there are some real fighters in this fight.
Was he included in the pardons? I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I need to reach out to Denver and ask Dan how what's going on, because they also have done some work together, and I know that Denver knows Miles well. But yeah, this whole thing is chilling, frankly, because again, pushing the envelope, and we've never in history had a president of the United States target private citizens because they told the truth. What they did was actually patriotic. And so good for them. And you know,
General Milley, McMaster, I mean, all of them.
Yes, all
Kelly.
of them. I mean, is he going to do that for them next? Because there's nothing, I don't know what stops him. And the other thing too is that I don't know how enforceable these executive orders actually are. A lot of this is performative bullshit.
Yeah, it's
but it's hard to say. It's hard to say because Pam Bondi, the other Barbie over there, Barbie Bondi at the Department of Justice, she's over here threatening people if they vandalize Tesla dealerships. She's guaranteeing they're going to get prosecuted and go to prison for 20 years.
So unserious.
And that it's not negotiable. I mean, like what?
It's serious but unserious.
Right.
Like you know what I mean? It's so cartoonish.
Yes.
And but again, it's so scary. And that's the thing,
they have power. They actually have power to do shit.
They aren't running for office saying this. You know what I mean?
No, they're already in power. It's a little late.
Right.
Now, the only thing to do is to get them out of that office, which is why 2026 is important and why what's happening this year in in Jersey and Virginia is important, because you need to send messages. That's why the special elections were important. Even though Democrats didn't win them, the margin was cut in half. People are pissed off.
And those margins were in the 20-point range, which is why, proving even more so why he was so adamant that Elise Stefanik be pulled out of the UN ambassadorship, which apparently on background she was very, very upset about. Too bad. So sad that she had to walk of shame her little ass back to the North Country. But you know, apparently she's going to have some like new role in GOP, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, who cares? It's going to be meaningless because she's not going to get that like big ass house in Manhattan overlooking the East River. So, you know, whatever. But I will say that Blake Gendabine, who we've had on this show, who was going to be running, he is not stopping.
Good.
He has a war chest, and he held, I think it was yesterday, a town hall, a big town hall. Yep.
Good.
And because I'm going to tell you right now, she's not going to do that because she is afraid of her constituents. Most of what I have heard from over the years where she has represented the district, she has only had invite only teletown halls. She's never really doing anything that, excuse me, opens up to the public while I die.
Well, listen, this is very smart of Blake's team, and
Yeah.
they should do town halls on once a fucking week,
Yep.
okay?
Yeah.
Once a week, and show up, because you know what? When he shows up and she doesn't, that starts to mean something to people, especially now with what's happening with our economy and what Trump is doing and how recklessly he's acting.
Yep.
This is going to impact people more and more. Like it's coming. It hasn't trickled down yet to the regular folks yet, but it will soon.
Mm-hmm.
And that district is a microcosm of a lot of places in this country. It borders Canada. It's got agriculture. It has elderly population. It's got a military base. It's got industrial issues there. Like there's all kinds of things that New York 21 represents that Blake has an opportunity to exploit.
Yep. And I thought that I had the headline here. I guess I don't. But there's an article from military.com that Hegseth and the Department of Defense is talking about cutting 90,000 active duty from the U.S. Army.
I saw this. I was in the airport and I went, holy shit. And Marcel was like, what now? And I said,
90,000.
That's it.
Is an enormous amount of people. Now, I'm thinking, okay, what is the reasoning here? It can't just be, or what money. It's not that.
No.
I'm like, is this going to be precision cutting people with specific, perhaps, views on the administration? Are they going to be sussing people out?
I mean, they've already started with people who look like me and you.
Right. And so is it going to be that? Is that how they're going to get people out? Is it going to be people who immigrated here? Because that happens a lot too. There's a lot of immigrants who join the military as well.
Rolling Stone, I did Mary Trump's show today. I did the Nerd Avengers, and I hadn't seen this until I did the show. Rolling Stone has a story out now that they are trying to deport a veteran. He's been here since he was 6. Yes, that's what I said. I said, oh my God, this is what we're doing? Oh my God. Yep.
And
Yep.
These cowards whom have not served.
Nope. Dodged the draft.
Dodged the draft during a time when working class people were forced into an unjust war and sent overseas against their wills.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Bonespurs had his family doctor write him a little note so that he didn't have to go. And in addition to that, said that all the sex he was having in the 70s and 80s was his own personal Vietnam for not getting the clap or whatever.
Yeah.
And then goes on to call our people who have given the ultimate sacrifice, who have lost their lives, walking around a cemetery with General Kelly, who lost his son, and called them suckers and losers.
It's unfathomable.
How dare you?
I know.
And the thing is, it's as much as I'm always like, how dare you? These people don't care.
I know.
They're never going to care. You can't shame them. There's nothing about them that's going to change. The only thing that we can change is the way that we react to it, the way that we fight back on it. And that is one of the things that gives me hope, is that we have the power to change our side of it. And they don't, because we know their playbook. We know their playbook.
That's right.
So we just have to get ahead of it.
The headline in Rolling Stone, I was pulling it up as you were talking.
Mm-hmm.
Trump is trying to deport a Purple Heart veteran.
Stop.
Who could be next.
Can't.
The administration wants to kick a decorated Iraq war veteran with a criminal conviction out of the country. So he has I don't know what the criminal conviction is, but I suspect that it's nothing.
It could be a DUI.
Right. I suspect it's nothing that warrants him being thrown out of the country. But the story's behind a paywall, so I can't get the rest of it now.
And also, even if it is a violent crime or something like that, that still is not grounds for deportation. If he is a United States citizen and he served the country, okay, go to jail here. Or maybe he served his time.
Right.
Or maybe he paid a fine, whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
that's not, it's, I hate to say this isn't who we are, but you know what
apparently it is to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to see if I can get more of the story here because
Let me
okay,
while you're looking. Oh,
yeah.
sorry. I was going to
Yep.
play this clip. So Caroline
Yeah, yeah.
Leavitt, who is the
Oh.
little fascist who behind the podium in the press room,
The mayor of Whoville.
With the war, this is a woman who has no gay men in her life. None. Zero.
Clearly. No.
Every
no.
day. Anyways, she says some chilling stuff too about deporting American citizens, and I'm going to play this really quick.
The president has discussed this idea quite a few times publicly. He's also discussed it privately. You're referring to the president's idea for American citizens to potentially be deported. These would be heinous, violent criminals who have broken our nation's laws repeatedly. And these are violent, repeat offenders in American streets. The president has said, if it's legal, right? If there is a legal pathway to do that, he's not sure. We are not sure if there is. It's an idea that he has simply floated and has discussed very publicly as in the effort of transparency. Reagan.
Mm-hmm. Again, moving the goalpost of what a criminal is. We don't know. He knows that it's not legal, but he's going to try it anyways until someone tells him to stop. And then who's going to tell him to stop?
Well,
and that's really just the strategy here.
That is why they have chosen El Salvador, because you have a strong man there who's besties with Don Jr., who also is in business with Eric Prince. Does that name sound familiar?
Why,
Eric
yes,
Prince,
it does.
who runs Blackwater, who is it's now been renamed something else, but it's the private security company guy that was doing all kinds of work. Oh, that's the third name now because it was called something else after Blackwater.
Blackwater has gone through several name changes, including XE Services, Z, I don't know what that is, and then Academy in 2011, and is now known as Constellus, which was formed after a merger in 2014. Private military, paramilitary.
Yes.
Who have been able to conduct themselves as a private company outside the jurisdiction of the Defense Department.
Yes.
And they got into a lot of trouble during Iraq and Afghanistan. Eric Prince is number one Mr. Fascist paramilitary guy who also happens to be the brother of former Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos, who wants
and he's a billionaire.
Yes,
he's a
very,
billionaire.
very rich. The whole family is.
Yes. And he, I've been in his house. That's a story for another day. But yes, this is a problem. This is also there's always something behind what's going on on the surface. There's always something underneath. And this is that. This is just like the private prison industrial complex here in the US, where they want to jail all these people and then use the cheap prison labor to do other things. And they get millions of dollars. A lot of this mass deportation stuff, you have to detain people. And guess who's going to build those camps to detain them?
It is
the private prison people.
Their stock went through the roof after the election because they knew what was going to happen. And again, like, this is the industrialization of deportation and torture of human beings. Because during the Holocaust, I will bring this up again, there were a lot of companies that made a lot of money off the Holocaust. You want to talk about IBM? IBM provided the little counting machines that they used in the camps. Like, there's a lot of stories like this that exist. So when we're talking about this industrialization of deportation, rounding people up, imprisoning people, there are a lot of Trump's buddies and billionaires in this country, Freudian, that stand to make billions of dollars.
Yes.
People get richer and richer and richer, which is, again, a huge part of what is happening right now and what has happened this last week.
Yes. And Pete Hegseth, speaking of moving the goalposts, he was on Fox News, of course, talking about what a genius Trump is and how he continues to move the Overton window on purpose, and that it's all part of his genius negotiation and instincts.
It's like full Pyongyang. Like, I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Did you see this tweet by hold on, where is his little tweet here? Oh, this guy too. Oh, not him.
Well,
oops, this guy.
That's funny. Somebody said, all I see now is Cindy Lou Who. Yes. That is correct.
Stephen Miller
Ugh,
yesterday.
This ghoul.
You have been watching the greatest economic master strategy from the American president. Okay.
This is Orwellian level doublespeak bullshit. It is the complete opposite. Everything that these people say, it is the complete opposite. Do we understand this? I mean, the Wall Street is having a conniption fit. They were 0.75 points away from having a that's the stop. What are they? The trigger where it's the circuit breaker. Okay, again today, we've lost trillions of dollars in value. Elon Musk has lost $107 billion in net worth. Fuck him. But I'm just saying, this is a disaster. A disaster. You look at like Stephanie Rule, if you watch CNBC, Bloomberg, people who are in the financial services industry or understand it are flipping out. And the only reason why Trump backed off the tariffs somewhat yesterday was because the bond market was starting to go.
Right.
And once that happens, you have a horrible, 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 horrible situation. Okay. You're talking like depression level shit.
Right. And because from what I understand, what little I understand about bonds is that, right, the US bonds, like the 10 and the 30-year bonds were being sold off, not by China, but by Japan.
Right.
And it was the value of them which is basically like the through line for our entire economy.
Yes.
And there was a time in the last couple of days when buying Greek bonds was more valuable and less risky than buying American bonds. Greece.
Isn't it at the same company where there was a run on the banks and like they were like almost went into hyperinflation a couple years ago? Yeah, Greece. More reliable in the financial markets in the United States, all thanks to Donald Trump. The guy, the genius businessman who bankrupted 6 businesses, incling 2
Yep. And this thing too. This is crazy. This is crazy. Now people are probably hearing a lot of the Democrats talk about this right now. Is the market manipulation as they should.
Underneath the surface
is always something else.
Yep.
Because he is one crafty little mob boss. And he's always out in the open. Right?
Yes.
It's so brazen and so out in the open that you almost don't believe it. Right. And then he's hoping you don't believe it. So he says, and I don't know exactly what time this was, but it was like an hour or two before he put the 90-day delay on the tariffs. This is a great time to buy DJT. Now, DJT is the name of his stock thing, right? It's called DJT. Now, they're trying to slow walk this back. No. He was just signing his initials.
Since when?
He
never does that.
I have all of the Truth Social posts from this 1 hour. None of them have DJT on them except for this one where he's telling people to buy on the dip.
Yep.
That's
And
the one.
That's consistent with last week. Apparently, Marjorie Taylor Greene bought a whole lot of, sold some stock and then bought a whole lot of stock or whatever happened. Like that coincided with the stock market crash last week. And it was all very suspicious. And Chris Murphy and others are now calling out like, whoa, wait a minute. This looks like stock market manipulation here. What are we doing? And so he had in the Oval Office Charles Schwab and somebody else, and where he basically again said the quiet part out loud. Oh yeah, this guy made $2.5 billion yesterday, and this one made 900 million, right? Isn't that right, fellas?
Yeah, and they're all like laughing, ha ha ha, and doing it in the middle of the Oval Office. Again, with people with phones and cameras and stuff. Like
very publicly, very like, because they're in their own world. They don't give a fuck about you or me. They don't care about MAGA. They don't care about their own voters whose
cosplay
savings. Yeah, whose retirement savings were completely wiped out by this, or people who were getting ready to retire and couldn't. Like, they don't care because his buddy here made $2.5 billion and this one made 900 million.
Right. What's the guy, Dave Ramsey, that Republican guy? I saw some clip about him.
The financial guy.
Yeah. Ugh. What an asshole.
I know.
He was like, he was talking down to people. You want to talk about somebody who's worth millions and millions of dollars. He's so rich. Telling people calling into his show that they need to calm down. That they all need to calm down. I was like, are you serious? Are you
It's
serious?
like Lutnick. What did Lutnick
Yeah.
say? Oh,
He
well,
said-
it's
right.
not going to matter if my mom misses a social security check. She'll be fine.
Right.
She'll be all right. So don't,
Right.
yeah, because you're a billionaire.
You
Of
are
course
worth
your
$4
mother-
billion,
Right.
sir. Sir. And again, he was on TV the other day saying, oh, all these jobs in China where you're screwing little screws into phones and stuff, all that's coming to the United States. Is it?
Wow. No,
Are we
it's
going to have
not.
Americans building iPhones? Because I'm going to tell you what, I saw an article the other day that literally said an iPhone could cost $30,000. Could.
So the Chinese, because Trump may have caved yesterday on the tariffs with everybody else down to 10%, which is still a lot
Mhm.
considering the average tariff for us was 2.5, I believe, percent.
Mhm.
But it's better than whatever the hell else it was before that. So, okay, fine for now. But he raised the tariff on China to 125%. And then today raised it to 145%. This is insanity.
The math ain't mathin', bro.
It's not. And they're basing all their tariff bullshit on a made-up formula that they didn't even plug the right numbers into. And Peter Navarro, who is his main trade economic advisor, felon wacko, who made up the economic advisor that he would refer to in his books out of his own name. It's him.
I can't.
Okay? Like these are the people that are controlling
Running the United
world
States
markets
government
right now. It's nuts.
Do you remember Ari Melber used to have him on all the time? He'd come on in like this crazy fit, and Ari Melber would just sit there and be like,
and let
what
him
else?
talk.
Like let him talk, and he'd just go off for like a half hour.
Here's the crazy thing about that. I remember when he went off on one of those interviews and said all kinds of incriminating things. I mean, major incriminating things. It was around the holidays because my husband and I were driving to Florida on one of our Space Coast trips. And I remember we stopped in Savannah, Georgia, because that's our halfway point, and a little more than halfway. And I was watching it in the hotel and I said, holy shit, Marcel. And he was kind of like, what? Who is this guy? I was like, I'll explain later.
Right.
And I was transfixed watching this because I was like,
it's wild.
This guy is screwing himself. And guess what? He ended up going to jail.
Yeah. And now he works in the White House.
And now he's back in the White House with the other felon that should have gone to jail.
Yeah.
But
it's just like felon palooza.
It really is. And it's kind of funny, but not. But
yeah,
these are the people that are manipulating
law
and
order.
So now you have 145% tariff on China, on Chinese goods. And China's going like, F you.
Right.
You're not going to play. You cannot play a game of chicken with a communist country that doesn't have the same, I don't want to say guardrails because they're kind of gone now, but like
values even.
Right. Values.
Just on human life, on work, on labor, on,
they don't care. They don't care.
The environment.
They don't care. So Xi Jinping is going through a little bit of a political turmoil. I mean, not like it matters. They don't have real elections there, but still, he's not going to show weakness. He can't.
Right.
And you know what the Chinese?
He's another one that's older, and I'm like, thank God.
Yes.
Anyways,
and he'll be dictator for life until he kicks it. They're making fun of the U.S. Have you seen these AI generated videos of Donald Trump, JD Vance, Elon Musk making Nike sneakers in the factories, or Donald Trump on a sewing machine? They're hilarious, by the way. But this is what the Chinese posture.
That's what they think of us.
Them. Of course. They're like, oh, you're going to do it. And then JD Vance is running around talking about peasants over there, about the Chinese. He insults the Chinese people.
Listen,
I mean,
again, we're the soft power that the United States has around the world in helping people, feeding people, aiding people. We have undone all of that stuff.
Yep.
And who is the first to pull up to the gate to take our place is China and Russia. More China than Russia, but China. And they, I mean, the influence that they have even in, I think, like entertainment and Hollywood now. I mean, remember when they made Maverick, the Top Gun movie, and remember that jacket?
Right.
They had to change the patch on the back of his jacket because they didn't want to upset the Chinese.
Yes, because it was a Taiwan patch. I actually have one of those. When I went to Taiwan as a congressional staffer, we visited one of the air bases there, and we have a joint program. I don't know if we still do. This was 10 years ago. We have, or longer now, 15? Oh my God. Anyway,
What's
we
time?
have we have a joint pilot program, training program with the Taiwanese Air Force and Luke Air Force Base in Arizona. I believe they're in Arizona. So I collect patches, and one of the Air Force officers took the patch right off of his flight suit and gave it to me.
Wow.
Yeah, which is very cool. I still have them. So like, the Taiwanese are watching this with in horror too,
I'm sure
because
terrified.
what's going to stop China from invading them next?
Nothing. Literally nothing.
I
And
know.
like here's
that's a problem for us too. People might say, who fucking cares? That's a problem for us too, because guess who makes a lot of our semiconductors and a lot of our electronics and all of that? It's Taiwan.
So much comes from there. So here's an article from Wired. I just grabbed the Blue Sky post. On Thursday, Chinese officials retaliated against President Donald Trump tariffs by imposing new restrictions on U.S. movies. That's a big blow to America's cultural cachet in the nation. And like, here's the thing. Again,
and a big blow to their pockets, because U.S. Hollywood, movie studios rely on the dollars in China, because we don't go to the movies anymore.
Right. And again, I say this a lot. It's one of the things, like, when the day comes someday, whenever that is, hopefully not in our lifetimes, that America ceases to exist. What will we be remembered for? We will be remembered for jazz music, rock and roll, American musical theater, and our films. These are the things, the cultural, like, soft power, hallmarks of
denim
and blue jeans. That's very good. That's a good one. But like, these are the things that we will be remembered for. Like, they're the hallmarks of like culture. And there's a reason why countries around the world, want to be Western. They want to be like Americans, because they see these things in the movies and they want to be like us, and they hear the music, and, there's so much influence there. And for us to, again, lose, I mean, the industry, especially in Southern California and the state of California, I mean, like, Hollywood, film, I mean, I can't tell you how many people it employs. That's why when there was a writer's strike, which they had every right to do and should have done that, hurt so many people. And especially after the pandemic, when all of those people, I mean, you're going anywhere from craft services, which are the people who provide the food and the drink and everything for people on set, to the trailers, to load in, crew, lighting, PAs, all the way up to director and, like, Scarlett Johansson and stuff. Like, and then Scarlett Johansson and people like that have an entire team that work for them. Like, she might make $15 million a movie, but she's paying out a shit ton of people from that. So, I mean, I use her as an example because, I don't know, we were talking about her the other day. But it's a huge, huge industry. And to poke a hole in that really hurts millions of people around the country and in that area.
From Los Angeles to Atlanta, Georgia. I mean, there
to
are
New York, and
even to like places like New Jersey, where you wouldn't think. There are tax credits for the film industry that film in these places.
New York City too, like huge tax credits.
Yes.
The shows that I've done, like, I have filmed in New York, New Jersey. So
it's like, people have no idea the impact of this, the reach of these things. These are not flippant decisions that you're just like, oh, well, who cares? Those Hollywood elites. No, because it fucks over the makeup artist or the, like you said, like the food services people that rely on this industry. Like, what are they thinking? And I think this is all to bring manufacturing jobs. Do not listen to the bullshit people are trying to tell you that all of this pain we're feeling now is somehow in the long run going to be a great thing, because everybody's going to be able to make widgets and zippers and sneakers and whatever the hell in the United States again.
Right.
That's never happening.
Oh, it's never happening.
Never happening.
It's
for
never
a few
happening.
reasons. One, it takes years to build those factories. Two, you have to train the labor force to do these things. Three, you have to have the labor force to do these things. The Wall Street Journal just had a story out a couple days ago that talked about the fact that even before all this chaos, we had a 46% deficit in filling manufacturing jobs. 46% vacancy. That was before the mass deportations. That was before all this other stuff going on. And that you have a lot of men and people who used to get their hands dirty that don't want to do the jobs anymore. The younger generation, they don't want to do it. They'd rather sit in their parents' basement and day trade or play video. Or play video games.
Right.
And so They're not doing that work. And now you have a crisis in motivation for work. Who are you replacing these people with? And then they don't want to train to learn how to do these things.
You're going to replace them with poor children.
Yes, or prisoners, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. But this is a fantasy that Donald Trump and his people are feeding his people to convince them that what they're doing, dismantling our economy, so that, Curtis Yarvin and the tech bros can get their network states and make us all,
which they're already starting to do,
techno-feudalists, and make us all slaves to them. I mean,
and they're planning on building these. This is and we can talk about this in another show, about in Appalachia, like starting to do this. Like this is where they want to put down some roots and then eventually grow out their little areas into sovereign nations. I mean, this is going to be a problem.
Yeah, it's no coincidence that they're putting it in the poorest, most uneducated part of the country.
Yeah, they're not doing it in like
New York City. Okay, because New Yorkers will tell them to go fuck themselves, and they're a lot more intelligent.
Yeah, we told them to hit the road. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like we're not doing that,
right?
And here's the thing too with Donald Trump. Now you were gone. I don't know if you saw this. He gave a little speech about groceries. Did you see this?
Oh my God, I didn't.
Hold on, I'm going to play this.
I didn't. Old-fashioned term that we use, groceries. I used it on the campaign. It's such an old-fashioned term, but a beautiful term, groceries. It sort of says a bag with different things in it. Groceries went through the roof, and I campaigned on that. I talked about the word groceries for a lot.
Did he just say a bag with different things in it?
Yeah, a bag with different things in it. Groceries. Groceries.
Oh,
tell me you've never been to a grocery store without telling me you've never been to a grocery store. Like this again is a rich ass boy from Queens who has never had to drive or buy anything for himself. And if he did, I'm sure he went to the bodega on the corner. This is not a man who knows anything about the struggle of everyday Americans. You just find I'm rewatching Succession right now.
Oh my God, it's so good. It's so good. It's
one
Joe,
of the my husband had never seen it. Right. My husband never seen it. So I was like,
enjoying it?
Oh, he loves it. Yeah, he loves it.
I would think he would like it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I have an old friend who is on the show as well. And so like it's fun to watch him and it makes me feel uncomfortable and I laugh. But I'm watching Logan Roy, who's the father figure, right? The Rupert Murdoch. And I was just watching the episode where he gets mad at Roman, who's the second son. And because he's like, do you know how much a gallon of milk is?
He's like, he's the third because there's
I guess
Connor, right? Connor Kendall.
Oh, that's right. I always forget about Connor.
Roman. I know,
which I guess is the point.
So does Logan,
right? He's the youngest, and so he's like, do you know how much a gallon of milk is? And he's like, no, I don't know how much you're going to make it. And he's like, and he makes him go to this management training thing where he's kind of like a civilian, right? Yep. And it's because he doesn't know anything about the real world. And he's like, how are you going to work at this company? How are you going to connect with America if you don't know what America is?
Yep.
And that separates, of course, the patriarch from his spoiled little shit kids.
Yep.
But again, like this is what we're dealing with Donald Trump is like a spoiled little shit kid, and his kids are even worse.
Yep.
And his grandkids, I can't even imagine.
Oh my God. And so, so this is like these people. Didn't he also do some weirdo thing with showers? His weird obsession with showers.
Hold,
Did he
please.
do some executive
Hold, please.
Oh my God.
The first of these is an executive order.
Oh wait, hold on. I always forget to take the other thing off that I just had on, and then that's what happens. I forget to take the other one off.
There you
launched
go.
What you've called a war on showers. They had certain
War on
regulations that basically killed the water pressure of showers and other other water appliances.
It's the little man who comes out and reads the little shower book.
I mean, it's everything, sir. Dishwashers, toilets, sinks. But the shower heads are a huge
no
deal.
water. You don't get water. It's ridiculous.
So this
How would he know? Does he actually shower his
Well, that we're
nappy
getting
ass?
there. We're getting there.
To ensure that Americans have choice in the consumer market. If they want a low-flow shower head, they can buy one. If they want a real deal shower head, they should have the ability to. That's true.
If you buy a new house, you pay a lot of money, and the developers, you're not allowed to do anything more. They put restrictors on. They used to have a restrictor where you could take it out, but now they weld it in. and you take a shower or wash your hands, whatever you do, including dishwashers where no water comes out. But you wash your hands, and in my case, I like to take a nice shower to take care of my beautiful hair. I have to stand under the shower for 15 minutes till it gets wet. It comes out drip, drip, drip. It's ridiculous. And what you do is you end up washing your hands 5 times longer. So it's the same water.
Well, I guess Pete
Cool.
Hegseth doesn't care because he doesn't wash his hands. Isn't that what he said?
Yeah,
I
that's
can't. Oh my God. I
delicious.
can't. I'm so. I
But the thing
can't.
about
I
it is,
can't.
that is just, well, first of all, the thing with the showers. Now, maybe I'm just reading into this, but the little storyteller, he's like won't say the word showers. He's like, say the word, say the word. What's the appliance? What's the appliance? He's like, well, showers. Now I'm like, is it because it's like a funny thing he doesn't want to say, or is it because of golden showers? Because that's all I could think about was the pee tape. So
Mm,
I don't know,
mm.
because it was.
It's all so weird.
It is
It's
weird.
just weird. His obsession with water pressure and showers and toilets
And
has
it's
been
like that.
years. It's been years. He's talked about this for years.
That and
It's weird.
the windmills. The
Yeah, the
windmills.
windmills and the birds. Well, we know
Yep.
what the windmills thing is about because of his golf course, and they wanted to put
Oh,
windmills in Scotland.
right.
Like, there's always a reason. But I want to know. You know what? I'm going to ask Mary. Next
You
time I talk
should.
to her, I'm going to ask her what the fuck is his obsession with showers and water pressure.
And
Like,
from
what?
everybody who sat next to him says that he smells like BO
I
and
know.
ass and like and like that big ass, that big booty. He doesn't wash back there. You know he doesn't.
Yeah, he can't reach. Oh my God, I can't.
But one of the things that I did want to talk about before we go, because we've talked about this a lot. This has to do with Trump, obviously, because if you look around that room, there's 2 women, one of which, if she's not dressed like a cosplay hoe, is dressed like a prairie girl.
Yeah.
It's not an administration that really reflects women, strength of women, unless they're in submissive or passive roles.
Correct. Or sexually objectified.
Or sexually objectified.
Correct.
So the SAVE Act.
Yeah.
The SAVE Act was voted on in the House today. Now, if you don't know what the SAVE Act is, basically, I'll just top line, it was going to disenfranchise tens of millions of married women in this country from their right to vote. The underlying message that they're telling people is, well, it's a voter ID thing so that we can prove that, immigrants are actually citizens so that they can vote. That's horseshit.
Remember, I told you that was the original intent, because when I was in
Right.
Congress, when I worked in Capitol Hill, that was the original intent of the SAVE Act.
Right.
And I agree with it.
Well, I mean, like at face value, it's like, yeah, okay,
Yes.
but then it's always like under the surface that
Correct.
shit starts getting shady.
Right.
Now, what they wanted,
what's happening now, the current SAVE Act, that was not a thing back
right?
when it
This
was
is
first
about
introduced.
women. Now,
Yeah.
they want your ID, your current ID, to match your birth certificate's last name. If you're married and you changed your last name, your birth certificate doesn't have that that last name on it. So
Nope.
what this is meant to do is impose essentially a poll tax for women, because there is a workaround. You can get a passport. Passport costs anywhere from $160 to $200. Requires a lot of paperwork that a lot of women in this country don't have access to. If you don't have a parent that handed you your birth certificate for whatever reason, you don't have it. Maybe you lost it, maybe, or your marriage certificate, whatever it is.
And it's a pain in the ass to get it.
It is a pain. You have to go to the county thing where you were born and the whatever. It is not easy to do.
No.
So they voted on this today, the House. Now, luckily, it's not likely to pass in the Senate because they do need the 60 votes in the Senate, and they're not going to get it.
I
hope not. I mean, God, I say I hope not, because it seems as though we can't really count on Democrats, because, first of all, it passed by like a few votes or something.
Yes.
But and 4 Democrats joined the Republicans in voting in favor of the SAVE Act with a V, SAVE Act, which would have and will disenfranchise tens of millions of American women.
What were they thinking?
Ed Case of Hawaii, who was in a safe district, he should be primaried. Henry I don't know how to say his last name. Cuellar, Cuellar of Texas. Cuellar. See, I wouldn't know that. Jared
he's
Golden.
Spanish.
Oh,
Hispanic.
see, that's where
Quay.
my brain, my
Henry
brain
Cuellar.
wasn't going to the Spanish language.
That's
I was still in English.
I only know
Yeah.
because he's a very conservative Democrat that
Okay.
votes with Republicans on a lot of things, including border issues.
Well, and apparently women's rights too.
Yes.
Jared Golden of Maine and Marie Glusenkamp Perez from Washington State.
These are very liberal areas. What are they doing?
I don't know,
What are they
especially
doing?
because so many women were showing up to town halls,
Yes.
screaming in the faces of Congress people,
Yes.
being like, "You are not coming for my right to vote."
Right.
And a lot of them were like, "What? What are you talking about?"
They're like, and oh God.
So in the vein of that, now I don't know. The Handmaid's Tale final season has just dropped a couple days ago.
I cannot wait to start watching.
They released the first 3 episodes.
I could watch 3 in a row.
Yeah, girl. Like you just gotta get right in there. Just sit down, get a sandwich.
I have an idea for us.
What?
I think that we should maybe do a separate show where we talk about each episode of The Handmaid's Tale.
Sign me up. Because I'll watch them. I watched all 3 and I will watch them again and I'll watch them again because let me tell you what, as because I've been in the bad place the last 2 weeks with just everything.
This is what happens if I leave the country. You go into the bad place. I gotta pull you out.
I know it. You know what it is. It's just, but it's things like this that are just sending me, and I'm just. There's days I feel like I'm like, what am I even doing? Am I just rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic?
I know,
and I know I'm not the only one who feels like that.
Oh, I know, but that's why I bought you the bracelet. I bought you the bracelet. I bought everybody. I bought Michelle a bracelet that says, "Don't let the bad days win."
Yeah, or bad years or months, and so anyways, so Handmaid's Tale. I will say so. My friend was like, Michelle, what are you doing? Why are you watching Handmaid's Tale? Are you a masochist? And I was like, maybe. But I will say this is the final season.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Think about what that means.
Yes.
Think about how much we need that final season right now. After all we have watched for the last however many seasons.
Because it started under the first Trump administration, didn't it?
It did in 2017, because I remember watching Chelsea Handler's talk show that used to be on Netflix, which I was obsessed with. And I'm so upset it doesn't.
She's from Jersey.
I know. I'm like Livingston too. I'm like, love her. Anyway, so she had, the show was new and she had Elizabeth Moss on and and she was like, people are saying that maybe your show would not have been as popular had Trump not won. And maybe that's true. But Margaret Atwood, when she wrote the book, it came out in 1985.
Right. I was like, it was in the 80s, way before any of this.
And there is a movie. There's a movie of The Handmaid's Tale that was made in the late 80s or early 90s or something. It's kind of weird and not very good. But whatever. So this is obviously much darker and dystopian.
Yeah, it won Emmys and everything.
It's so good.
Fantastic.
And the cinematography is outrageous.
Yeah, it's really fantastic. It put Hulu on the map.
It really did. It really did. And
the only reason why I keep it.
Same.
Well, Paradise was on Hulu, wasn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be staying for that. It's gonna be staying for that.
Yes.
But yeah, so Margaret Atwood wrote this book, The Handmaid's Tale, in 1985, or it came out in 1985. And she's Canadian. We love. I'm seeing the Canadians in the chat.
We love you guys.
We do. We really just feel so bad. And maybe we would love to have Margaret Atwood on the show, and we're going to try to get her on because we would love to talk to her about all of this, because she really is an expert on authoritarianism in a different way, and how it affects specifically women and the storylines and the things that happen to women in the story and on the show. She says this is a culmination of the worst case scenarios of things that have actually happened to women at some place in the world throughout our modern history. And so when you see something horrible happening to a woman on that show, just know that has happened to someone. And a big part of the show that I actually made myself a little private playlist of all the flashbacks, because if you put the flashbacks together from all the seasons and the way that it plays out, it felt close but not so close last time. It feels like it's next to me right now.
Because last time was pre-Roe being overturned.
It was pre-Roe. It was whatever the SAVE Act. It was pre-kicking women out of the military, because let's be honest, that's what's happening. I got a text before I show this. I just want to say I got a text from a friend today. I'm going to read this. I won't give out any names, but as a friend of mine who has worked in advertising for 25 years, got a text that says, I'm an exec sponsor of our LA-based Google Women's community. It is broad, formal, and a great structure.
Wait, like as in Google the company?
This is Google Women's community. I don't know exactly what this means.
You know what I mean? That's what I was like. Does that mean Google, like the women's community for inside the Google?
Maybe. Okay. I think so. I can get more background on it, but like I was trying to be like vague, so I'm not like giving out too much, you know. But it says, and we just got handed down very interesting new guidelines that we must adhere to. Essentially, we cannot have any formal support for protected classes anymore, including women.
Oh my God.
So I got that text today from a friend, and I was like, this is like that scene out of The Handmaid's Tale where they fire all the women. And I'm just going to show this right now.
Roger called a meeting.
Do you know who these guys are? Are they with building security or something?
I don't think so.
What's this meeting about?
I have no idea.
Folks, ladies, gentlemen, folks, may I have your attention, please? Ladies, you should all know that I feel really sorry about this.
Oh, shit.
It isn't my decision. I don't have a choice. I have to let you go. What? I have to let you all go.
Wait, we're being fired?
No, not fired. No, let go.
What does that even mean?
You can't work here anymore. It's the law now.
Roger, what law?
I don't have a choice. They gave me 10 minutes. Please, just pack up your things.
This is outrageous. Hey, why is it just the women?
I don't have a choice.
Roger. Thank you.
Under his eye.
Excuse me?
Why'd they send the army? I don't think that's the army.
I think it's another kind of army.
Yo, first of all, it looks like Doge. Okay.
Yep.
That's like what's happening right now with Doge. Anyone who saw the videos of people being marched out, given 30 minutes to clear out their desks from federal agencies and walking out with their banker boxes and stuff, it is just crazy. It also reminds me of the story that I talked about a couple weeks ago where Doge got their own security people to get them forced into these buildings, like the Institute of Peace, and what happened
who
there.
owns that security company?
Oh,
Eric Prince.
Yes, it's a different type of army.
Yep.
I'm telling you, man.
That's why I'm saying, like, that flashback, and then there's another flashback around that time. That is when they cut the bank accounts off all the women when they're at the coffee shop, and that guy calls them sluts.
Yes.
And she's like, "What?" Because all of a sudden these men around them start calling them sluts, and it's like these young incel type guys.
Sound
and they
familiar?
Right. They go to swipe their card, and it won't work. And she's like, "Can you swipe it again?" And he's like, "Why don't you come back when you have some money?" And she goes home, and then she realizes on the TV that they've shut off all the bank accounts of women, and that, like, you can access your money, but you either need a husband, a father, or a next of kin who is male to access the money for you. And she's like, "They can't just do that." And her friend Moira goes, "Yes, they can." And that is why this is even more ominous, that they announced today that they're going to be using legally obtained Social Security numbers to arrest and detain and deport immigrants.
Yep, because they got that from the IRS, right?
Right, which is why the top officials at the IRS in the last couple of days have resigned.
Yes. It's this is, oh God.
This is what I'm saying. And it's like, I hate, like, I know that this is like a TV show, and you're like, oh, but there's like a reason. Like, these things are written as a warning to us. I was like, you want to go back, look at the photos of the women working and going to school in Iran in the late 60s and early 70s. And now look at women in Iran now.
Yep.
There are cats sitting outside on a stoop have more rights than women do in Iran to walk outside.
Yes.
These things can happen.
Mm-hmm.
And that is
why. It happened quickly when people are putting their heads in the sand and saying, like, it couldn't happen here. Well, yes, it could.
And there is another flashback scene as well when that sparks all of it is an attack on the Capitol.
Yep. And that was pre-January 6th when that episode aired.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, well, on that lovely happy note.
On that happy note, I will say, and I talked about this on the show the other day, is that I've on our show that we do on Wednesdays with Julie and Joe. The good news is that the small town of Sackett Harbor, I've talked about this, where 10 miles from where I grew up, which is where border czar Tom Homan, who is the architect of putting kids in cages, that's where his summer home is. And the 1,400 people who live in that village were in an uproar about 3 children and their mother that were snatched from their home and sent to a prison in the South.
They're immigrants.
They were immigrants. And they were here going through all the legal means and processes to get their green card and legal residence.
Yep.
And they had worked at this farm that I have frequented. They have a petting zoo there. It's very lovely. And they showed up on the day of protesting. 1,000 people showed up in the streets of Sackett Harbor. When I tell you, Sackett Harbor is a tiny ass little village on Lake Ontario, population of 1,400 people. There's a battlefield from the War of 1812 there. It is tiny. And 1,000 people showed up to protest outside his house, including MAGA people, to counter protest. And the news interviewed them, and they were like, "Well, I really like Donald Trump, but I guess we should bring those kids back." And I'm going to tell you what. It was the principal of the school.
I saw this.
Who was up in arms the most. And
Didn't
I'm going to show.
handcuff the kids?
Oh,
they handcuffed them. They were 9 years old.
In 3rd grade. And it's it's a K through 12 school. It is teeny tiny. And so when these kids came home from school, I mean, they were traumatized. I mean, this happened at their home, but they didn't come into school that day. So at a school that's tiny, everybody knows them.
Yeah.
And especially at Old McDonald's farm where they work, like, I mean, it's just a place that everybody knows.
Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah. And it was this woman. Her name is Jamie Cook. She was the principal of Sackett Harbor Central School, who raised hell. It's also the superintendent of the school district. Her last name is Gaffney. I can't remember her first name. She was on the news as well. It was 2 women who raised hell. Made this national news, annoyed the shit out of Tom Homan, brought the news there. This is a story from the Washington Post
Good
today.
for them.
And they are bringing the kids and the mother home. Now, the county, whatever it is, Scott Gray, he says, well, the protest had nothing to do with it. Horseshit. Because I'm going to tell you what, again, how tiny that place is. You go to a restaurant there, you know everybody around you. He was probably worrying he wasn't going to get a moments of peace ever again. And he still might not. But
he shouldn't. He should
never. I mean, he's a monster, mushmouth monster. But I say all that to say, a group of people led by 2 women showed up and in a very short amount of time made enough noise to make something national news, and they won. Yep. Now, last I heard, the kids haven't arrived home yet. I'll keep people updated what I know, because right now it's being reported, oh, they're coming home. Well, we'll see. We're going to see when that happens. When they get back, they'll be back. But in the meantime,
that's the perfect example of what I always say. It's the righteous anger of the American people that will make the difference here.
That's right.
Just like 1 million people plus marched last weekend in 1,200 cities across the country, both in red and blue states. And that is making a difference. Donald Trump caved because there was pressure on him from his donors, from people on Capitol Hill, and then the bond markets. And then guess what? Bullies always cave. And so there has to be pressure put on them constantly. And when we do, this is what happens. You got to take the small victories. So on that note, I will leave you with this. Stay loud, stay vigilant, stand strong. That's the formula. So,
and I'm going to play us out with American Girl. I just want to remind everyone, if you weren't here at the beginning, that we have been nominated for a Webby Award. We are honored, but we need your vote and we need your support for the People's Choice Award at the Webbies. So if you want to, I think we've got the link in the chat. But if not, you can just go to our website, senecaproject.us. It's at the top of our website. You can just click on that. I'll bring you right to the page where you vote. It takes like 30 seconds of that.
And you can only vote once. I know some people asked. You can only vote once. So if you vote, you can share the link to tell your friends to vote too. It's kind of like bringing third place to the box.
Yeah, we're in 3rd place. We're trying to, get some speed and some momentum, and
it's not insurmountable.
It's true. It's true. So I'll play us out with American Girl, and a little bit of good news. So that's all.
See you guys next week.
See you then. Bye, everybody.
Women's suffrage is a long story of hard work and heartache crowned by victory.
Was it so hard being an American girl?
Women throughout the country are committed to winning these rights for themselves.
Was it so hard living in a first problem world?
I'm Connie Chung, CBS News, New York.
When the American promise is the land of the free, but I'm waiting for the bill for the air that I breathe. Was it so hard being an American girl?
I do.
I pray that we all remember our children are watching.
Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue. Tell me, girls, what are we gonna do? Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue. Tell me, girls, what are we gonna do? Every heart loves to walk the red, white, and American girl. What are we gonna do? Every heart.
While I may be the first woman in this office, I will not be the last.
Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue. Tell me, girls, what are we gonna do?